Over the last couple of weeks, we've documented Vaush's logical fallacies, lies, and his blatant false allegations towards one of his Discord members simply because he was a conservative.
And the next person, Extreme Dad, who is a pedophile, has my picture. He actually is a pedophile. We have banned him from our, I'm not joking, Extreme Dad, we banned him from our Discord server.
This was documented and more on my last two videos on Vaush. You should check them out. This video will focus on Vaush's historic past of life-ruining allegations and faulty character when it comes to his brand online. Trust me, it is nothing short of lolCow worthy.
This isn't true.
That water has not always been H2O?
Yeah, all you have to do is cross the Mexican border. And over there, it's aqua. That's H2O, not water.
Aqua means water. Aqua is water.
It's a different term.
Actually, it's agua.
Fellas, get ready to impress a chick. Helicopter dick, go.
We've already talked about in detail how Vaush thinks everyone who's a conservative is a Nazi. I'm pretty sure he's where that left-leaning stereotype came from. He purposefully keeps his definition of a white supremacist vague to make sure that everyone fits into the definition.
White supremacy can be very vague. White supremacy can be very definite. It's very difficult to pin down exactly where somebody falls in that spectrum. I'm just interested in promoting anti-racist policies and anti-racist beliefs. I'm sure Count Dankula, as a libertarian and a lover of freedom, will agree with me on virtually every prescriptive statement that I have with regards to race, and we shouldn't really have much to argue about.
But I thought I was a white supremacist. I thought that was the point of this, and also I do enjoy that your definition is very, very vague. That's awfully convenient.
Calling people fascist or racist is a huge profit incentive for Vaush.
I have a question. Do you love black people?
No.
Why not? Are you in a fallen state?
I don't love white people either, if that's what you're wondering.
Damn. Answer the question. Why don't you like black people?
I didn't say I dislike black people.
You asked him if he loved him.
No, I asked him if he hated him, and he said yes.
He's doing a Jesse Lee Peterson impression.
No, you asked.
That's actually not what you asked, Vaush.
I never said that.
This incentive has led to Vaush jumping to life-ruining conclusions on videos he knows nothing about. Last year, a video of a white woman arguing with a group of black people over a bike rental went viral. The clip is obviously missing context of the confrontation, but that doesn't stop Vaush from picking sides.
Is this an opportunity for me to demonstrate how not racist I am?
Yeah, by putting this white woman in her place.
Please get off me. Hey, what the fuck is going on, bro? Yo, don't take it, bro. Now you're not getting the fake, bro.
Of course she would be a nurse. Dude, nurses are f***ing psychotic. I swear to God, nurses are like female cops. That's like the female version of being a cop, where you're a horrible, abusive piece of shit, and you get out of school and you want to like have control over people's lives.
Who describes nurses this way? Vaush's Chad then correctly points out that he doesn't know what's going on. So Vaush explains it, even though he doesn't know what's going on.
I have no idea what's happening. The black guys like rented these little like city bike things, and then she's just trying to take it, and she's like faking a problem.
He doesn't know any of that. He's just jumping to conclusions. People would then ask for the context again, and Vaush would make it up again.
Hey, stop touching me. I want to touch you. Hold up. Hey, stop touching me. Stop touching me. Why don't you take this bike? Stop touching me.
Context for real. The black guy, they rented the bike, and then the white lady came over and just wanted to take it, and then just started shouting help. This is so petty on her part. It's not petty. She's trying to steal the bike and or get these black guys arrested. These women, this woman is either a sociopath, a racist, or both, and is just trying to like nab simultaneously a free bike and also just get some black guys arrested. It's like this is an attack that could literally endanger their lives. Is she mentally ill? No, she knows what she's doing.
Wow, Vaush knows her medical records too. Incredible. This woman would lose her job due to being labeled racist for this out of context video.
God damn. It sure is fucking crazy that if you're a black guy, like at any point in time, a white woman could just lock onto you and just decide to like ruin your life.
Ironically, Vaush is the one actually doing that to her.
Yeah, she like instantly stops crying the moment she realizes it's not working. Yeah. She should be fired for this. I genuinely, like, if you see one of your nurses, a person who holds the life of patients in their hands, and you see this insane psycho and sociopath shit, she should be fired immediately. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck there is to review. Is it all right to call her a crazy white lady? Yes. I hope she better get fired.
She was doxxed, faced death threats, and had to hire a lawyer. NBC went and harassed her at her apartment.
No one answered at the woman's Brooklyn apartment or returned our calls for comment. This woman lives in her building.
That woman lives in this building with me?
City Bike came in and vindicated the bike Karen's story.
We asked City Bike to confirm her rental and if anyone else reserved it around that time. Marino says that's impossible.
That confirms that the bike she was on was definitively rented by her.
So does Vaush correct the story? Yes, but he acts like it's not his fault for misreporting in the first place.
99% of the time, if you see a situation like this, I feel like there's pretty good reason to suspect, like, the white woman yelling help when it seems like the crowd is like, yo, you're in the wrong here. Because when we see stories like that, when you see stories that go viral online, especially when it comes to confrontations like this and threats of, like, you know, like what you might call Karen behavior, or like maybe some white woman is being racist or whatever the fuck else. When you see stories like this, what's important to understand is that new information can always come out that invalidates what you said previously. Even videos that seem like the most objective, like direct, verifiable, proven, done and done, like we figured it out kind of deal. Some, you know, you could see a news article the next week that'll go, oh yeah, it turns out, by the way, this is this other video footage and there's like 2 minutes of context before it that completely invalidates the perspective and the other person is actually in the right.
He acts like the initial video was so damning against her. It wasn't. His chat called him out for it and he called him wrong.
Maybe there was something that happened before the video started. Why are people... This seems like pretty one and done. I mean... You can see from the behavior in the video that she's acting like a psychopath, faking crying, faking shouting help. The bike was in the guy's, like, the guy, it was the guy's, like, that's why they all had phones out recording her.
You don't know that. There's no reason for him to say this. Vaush now acting like it was reasonable for him to have this take is proof of his inability to take responsibility.
Watching the video, I didn't think, like, oh, what if this was just a perfect setup from a group of guys deliberately trying to set up a situation where they could, like, manufacture this quote-unquote Karen incident. That's definitely possible. Right now, that seems like it's the most likely explanation. Now I feel really bad for, you know, making the assumptions that I did. You always have to make assumptions, of course, because, again, there's no such thing as having all the context in a situation. Sometimes all you have to go off of is the video that you have.
What do you mean? You don't have to make such strong assumptions on a 90-second video and then call for the woman to be fired. When somebody asked why doesn't Vaush just wait for more information to come out before giving his opinion, Vaush gives the worst excuse ever.
Maybe you should wait then. You can't wait infinitely. You get more info and it's like, ah, well, what if another bit of info drops? You have to cover stuff as it happens.
He's acting like the full story won't come out unless he covers it live. Vaush, you aren't that important. You aren't doing any journalism. Waiting for more information to come out is how you cover stories correctly. He's making excuses for his laziness and lack of care when reporting on other people's lives. And this isn't the first time Vaush has done this. A few years ago, Vaush would see a video of a cop, and because the TikTok text says that the cop was planting evidence, Vaush believes the video is proof of that, even though it doesn't really show anything.
A Caledonia police officer appears to be seen on camera attempting to frame a black man with an illegal substance. Appears to be. I mean, this is the most clear cut I've ever seen. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that.
This 5-second clip is apparently the most clear-cut case of police planting Vaush has ever seen, going as far as to say he was trained for this.
Hey, bro, you just threw that in here. Yeah.
You got to record every police interaction, my friend. Now, this cop is trained. Take a look at the cop. Look at this. See how the cop turns his chest away from where he's throwing that? That's because he doesn't want his body cam to pick it up. He turns his chest away from it. See? Chest facing that way, drug plant happening this way. He knew. He has it on him. He just, whoop, yep, does a little slippy. This is kind of spooky, huh? This is a little bit spooky, a little bit, upon reflection. If this guy hadn't been recording this interaction, then, well, I assume he would have been up and screwed. Now, of course, because it's recorded, it's a big old thing. I want you to really take a moment to consider the fucking black hole that cop has instead of a heart, okay? This guy, because, I don't know, because he wants to up his quotas, just thought, yeah, I'll just frame an innocent guy in a traffic stop and maybe put him away for a long time. Just for nothing. Like, what does he get from this? Maybe he get, like, maybe there's a quota thing. Maybe he's got a bet with a mate or something. I have no idea. But yeah, just put this guy away. Just completely fucking derail another person's life for nothing, okay? You ever notice that the same people who are outraged at the existence of false rape accusations don't seem to care that much about cops and their propensity for falsely planting evidence? Even though that seems to be like a bit of a bigger systemic problem in terms of abuse of power and everything.
Vaush is making life-ruining claims about this officer over a 15-second clip, even coming up with conspiracies about how he turned. When it came out that the cop took the baggie from another passenger in the car and was not planting it, Vaush would correct the story, but still excuse himself for his poor coverage.
Thing that he recorded could have well been a plant. It just wasn't this time, but it could have been.
It's the same as conservatives who claim the 2020 election was stolen. Here's proof of ballots being moved out of a van. How do you know those are ballots? Well, the text says so. It must be true.
It's good to point out how we need to review evidence. I am okay with, by default, being suspicious of the cops by assuming their wrongdoing, because they are very powerful and receive very little accountability or oversight.
How about you just wait before jumping to conclusions on these 60-second, 15-second videos? I get that this person was a cop and that lady was a nurse, which might as well be a cop, and all cops are evil to you.
I swear to God, nurses are like female cops. That's like the female version of being a cop.
But they're still people, and you pushing out of context, actually out of context clips of them is wrong. Wait for the full story. I thought Destiny put it best.
These articles are saying that she was the first one to rent the bike. It's just so strange. Assume chat's wrong.
It's just, I like how Vaush is like, I don't understand why somebody would ever do this. Vaush, you're the reason why people do this. Because they know that if they do it, racist f***s like you will cover for them and then amplify their message. You are the reason why. It is your fault.
Vaush has been criticized for jumping to conclusions on these short video clips for years, and he has not gotten better.
This guy.
I ain't got part of that shit.
So we've got a person here who is essentially unidentifiable, at least by appearance, by way of the full black garb and the gas mask and everything else. Here's a thing that I know for a fact is happening. Undercover cops. There is nothing on earth that can tell me that motherfucker in the black getup with the umbrella smashing those AutoZone windows at the beginning of the protest wasn't a fucking cop.
And Vaush's source for all this appears to be a tweet. And it makes me wonder, how much of an accident is this really? Vaush has a policy saying that it's good to lie as long as it pushes his agenda.
I think that is very, very, very important to report factual stuff correctly. Because I think right now, the biggest issue that we're having probably across the world, but at the very least in the United States, is we are widening this chasm of what both sides see as reality. And that widening of the chasm, even if it's for a good cause, I don't think is good. I think at the end of the day, I think that lying a little bit to sell a good message is actually hurting these good messages so much.
If we were to get rid of all content which has any misleading elements for the advocacy of liberal or left-leaning politics, I think that would destroy almost everything. We would be left with NPR-style, incredibly empirical, fact-based, and dry commentary, high-level academia, accessible-only content, and maybe a couple of people left capable of threading that line. Wait, hold on. There are people in chat saying good. We lose if that happens. I
think that this is a bad dichotomy. You can have content that's edgy, engaging, entertaining, aesthetic, that doesn't mislead people or lie.
Well, what's the line then?
The line is when you're misreporting the facts, or if you're like completely misrepresenting something, or if you're being so reductive that you're being incorrect.
Okay, but in this case, I think incorrectness is kind of a gradient.
If you have to lie to spread your policies suck. But here's the thing, Vaush will purposely get things wrong if it hurts people he doesn't like. This is what makes him a trash human. The Israel-Palestine conflict is one of the most controversial events in recent history, and information is being released faster than it can be verified. And dramatized headlines are creating a deeper divide in an already polarized world. That's why resources like Ground News are so important. This app and website show data that mainstream media often tries to hide, and makes it easy to get all sides of the story. To have Ground News sponsor this video is important because I think what they're doing is important. Take this story where the New York Times admitted it relied too heavily on Hamas's claims during the Gaza hospital blast. We can see that 60 articles have been published in the last week alone, and 60% of those are coming from right-leaning outlets. This is what Ground News calls a blind spot, meaning you might have missed it if you don't get your information from these sources. They even have a factuality rating, telling us that more than 50% of articles are coming from mixed factuality reality, and that the coverage is probably pretty sensationalized. Get informed by real, up-to-date news sources that give you all perspectives, and not just some Twitch streamer. Use ground.news/WillyMac to subscribe for $1 a month, or get 30% off unlimited access through my link. Thank you, Ground News, for sponsoring this video. In my last video, I talked about a conservative in Vaush's Discord named Extreme Dad, and how Vaush and his community labeled him as a pedophile just for being a conservative.
Extreme Dad, why can't you just come out and say, I'm a proud ephebophile, and I want to absolutely clap some underage cheeks? Should I ban you from this? I don't want you, like, courting any kids here.
Extreme Dad has been getting harassed for this ever since, so we asked Vaush again a year later to clear the air on it, and Vaush denied Dad, saying too bad. What I didn't know is Dad asked Vaush just this last year if he could clear the air for him, and Vaush mocked him for it.
If you could tell the people what made you decide to lie and with intent deceive and defraud your audience, calling me a pedophile when you knew that to not be true, and what's kept you from retracting that when all the evidence and everything come out, and you've ignored me, you haven't responded to my emails, you know, you cost me a lot, your audience has doxed and harassed me, the compounding negativity that you've caused me.
Wait, is this Extreme Dad?
It sure is, buddy.
Okay.
Do you realize that people still harass me about that today?
No, that's the idea of this being anything other than self-directed is unfathomable to me.
Hold on. Vaush called Dad a pedo over and over again without any evidence and is now denying any of the hate he gets.
Listen, Extreme Dad, I don't remember anything about our engagement.
Well, let me refresh your memory. You said
perhaps it might. I just want to make.
Perhaps it might be most effective to just briefly apologize and then.
Wait, I don't know. Apologize. What? Sure. I don't even know what the stakes are.
Saying you said that I was in your server, that you caught me preying on minors in your community. You
I don't
said
manage my Discord server. I think I remember
your Reddit account, Irish Laddie, said that I got caught preying on children.
Sir, you have to let him respond. You've made an allegation. Vaush, go ahead.
No, I don't even know. I think I remember like 3 years ago, Extreme Dad was somebody who was on my stream once or twice. And then some years ago, somebody was like, oh, he was being creepy to a minor in Discord, so we removed him. And then later someone was like, oh, what happened to Extreme Dad? And I was like, oh, that happened to Extreme Dad. I don't directly manage Discord server moderation because I'm a very busy guy.
No, but you directly manage the words that come out of your mouth.
He's lying. He said that Dad was talking to multiple underage girls in his Discord, which is not true.
Should I ban you from this? I don't want you, like, courting any kids here. We have, like, a DM system over this website. How many chicks are you messaging right now, Extreme Dad? I know a few of them that are underage. I'm not giving you their names. Flirting with 14-year-old girls, saying like, something like, you know, I can be your daddy, you know, I go rough, or some shit like that, knowing that they were 14. We had to ban him from the server for that. We've got screen caps, logs, everything. It's incontrovertible.
Vaush will never directly take ownership for his misdeeds. He'll always weasel around it. Dad calls him out.
I don't directly manage Discord server moderation because I'm a very busy guy.
No, but you directly manage the words that come out of your mouth.
Okay.
And you went on stream and you said to your audience that you had caught me preying on minors.
Okay, I don't remember.
And that was not true, was it?
Words.
That's pretty much what happened.
If you just stood up and you were like, yeah, you know what, F it, I do go for that sweet teen pussy, and then dropped shit and left the chat, I mean, no one would like you, but there would be a certain level of respect for your bravado, I think.
What? Vaush downplays all of this as all I did was ban you from Discord. It can't be my fault.
Generally speaking, I think that my Discord mods do a good job of assessing. People complain about them, of course, but complain about everyone. Of assessing whether or not somebody's like engaging in bad behavior. However, the idea that like you being removed from a Discord server and flippantly mentioned by me has led to 3 years of harassment towards you is, I'm just going to say it without any knowledge at all, insane. So whatever happens, this is self-directed.
Vaush then overly sarcastically apologizes, not relieving any of the hate Dad gets.
Do you apologize for any negativity or pain that he caused me?
Well, okay, some of the negativity was because I remember those debates with you, and I think we have some pretty strong political disagreements. So I think at least some of the negativity had to have been warranted based on direct engagements with you.
Yeah, okay, but some of it was probably the result of saying that I was preying on minors in your community, I would imagine.
Well,
right. That would probably cause a little bit of negativity to be sent my way, right?
Well, I mean, I guess if I'm officially...
And that wasn't true. So
right.
I'm just saying, can you apologize for saying it?
Take your word for it. You know what? I'm sorry for all the harm that I've caused you. I don't know.
So much.
I don't know if
that.
I have, and I certainly don't think it was knowing, but I hope that you do well.
The top comments on this video are all dunking on Dad, with one being, never heard of Extreme Dad, but his behavior makes me confident that he was trying to pick up minors in the Discord server. But you see, Vaush has been giving terrible sarcastic apologies for things he actually did wrong for years. Vaush got in trouble for sexually harassing 2 women in Destiny's Discord. It's important to note that for some of this period, Vaush went by the username Irish Laddie. You could still tell it's him by just how degenerate the messages are though. Alright, I'll try and put this as neutrally as possible. I don't actually support bestiality, but I find it hot conceptually. I love big cocks, and horse cocks are as big as they come. Pretty nice looking too. The thought of somebody being so horny and cock hungry that they turn into an animal to slate their carnal interest is very hot. Like the idea of you curiously touching or stroking one. And she goes, I mean, you shouldn't touch a horse like that. Vaush replies, no, of course you shouldn't, but you can fantasize about it and talk about it, clearly egging her on to join with him in the fantasy. She doesn't reply, and Vaush talks about how it gives him a half chub. He then apologizes for pushing her boundary. Okay, done. You realize she's not into it and stopped. But Vaush doesn't stop. Going, you know, I think you're attractive. She says, thank you. Vaush asked, and you, me? She says, IDK. And Vaush replies, wow, rude. She says, sorry. Okay, Vaush has now been turned down twice, so what's he do? He offers dick pics. She says no. Vaush then talks about how his penis is so great. She then implies that Vaush is sexually harassing her, and he doesn't want to talk about it. And there's another girl named Poppy that would share a similar story. Poppy was venting to Vaush about her boy problems. Vaush couldn't care less and asked to derail the conversation. There's no real way for me to ask this without coming off as a dude bro. And I recognize this comes from a place of entitlement, but it really does quite confuse me. Why are you so disinterested in being flirtatious with me? And I know that you're not entirely sexually disinterested in men. I also know I'm genuinely pretty sociable and charming. She says she's not into it at this point in her life. Later, she would talk about how her new boyfriend made her like sex. And Vaush would call her a prude. She'd say she's not. Then Vaush says, so now that we brought the sexual tension up to a simmering level in here, I know what you're thinking. She'd try and shift the conversation to politics. Vaush then says, I know you want to see it, but you're a spiteful little fuck. And I know you'd share my dick pic around, even though it's in the upper spectrum of your preferred dick size range. She then replies, dude, no, don't send me your dick. Vaush writes, yeah, obviously you'd send it around. Prove to me I can trust you. Baiting her for nudes. It's very manipulative behavior. Take this picture of my dick, send me nudes, otherwise you don't trust me as a friend. This would happen over and over again. Vaush would get put on trial in Destiny's Discord server, and he would play dumb, focusing on the irrelevant.
Never once in the entire time that I spoke with Poppy did I send Poppy a dick pic. In that specific conversation, I was frustrated with Poppy because it seemed like after months of them calling me a racist, they were then making weirdly kind of like, oh, he's not bad comments, which frustrated me. So I sent like, hey, fuck you. If I sent you a dick pic, you just leak it and use it as more evidence against me. Given the context and given that prior she'd spent months harassing
Hold on. Whoa. No, okay. I don't know if you normally talk to people with a lot of social problems, but you're lying to me, okay?
I'm not lying
you very, very, very clearly in this conversation are looking with some sort of sexual reciprocation. This is not something that you're saying spiteful.
Let me find the image. Am I? Hold on. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong image. Hold the fuck on. I'm looking at like, is there like multiple fucking albums?
So now that we've brought the sexual tension up to a simmering level in here, I know what you're thinking. And then she doesn't engage and talks about Trump, and then you immediately re-engage sexually and say, I know you want to see my dick pic. Like, this is not like...
Oh, I see. Let me see.
And then when you go, and then when you hit it up afterwards with the prove to me and I can trust you, right? Where you're trying to bait out her sending nudes to you. And then in the next message where you continue to say that, like, I know that you enjoy these conversations. These are not the messages of somebody that's being incredibly spiteful because they're upset somebody said something in Discord. This is you hardcore trying to manipulate somebody into sending you nude pictures. This is like, there's no other reading of this. Like,
I suppose I disagree.
It's a lot of the same rhetoric Vaush uses to excuse the lolly on his folder or his old CP arguments, claiming things are out of context when they're not.
Obviously, they've been cut together to make me look as bad as possible. If the goal is to make me look bad, that is what you would do. You certainly wouldn't showcase any context that makes me look good.
Outright lying, saying the messages are fake when they're not, or saying that it's too old to hold them accountable.
I remember them as I remember them. And it is entirely possible that the specific context which may exonerate or condemn me has been lost to time, or we could just go back and look at the
okay,
law.
so would you say that you're not being flirtatious with her in these messages?
I would say that my frustration with her is in some way rooted in sexuality, but no, I have no interest. This is past
Okay, so if you have
point.
no interest of being flirtatious with her,
Wait, this is from 2017, right?
Sure.
This should be before she and I started arguing with one another, because I think that happened in early 2018.
Okay, well, regardless of what it is, I mean, like, it's just like a bunch of like messages where like they're very clearly like not engaging with you sexually, but you keep trying to push him in that direction.
He's waffling just like he did in his response video for having Lolly on his hard drive. And also like in that video, when backed into a corner, Vaush blames his autism.
And since then, I've been really careful about engaging with people, because I am, and I hate to pull this out because this sounds like some bullshit ass fucking invalid self-defense, but I am autistic.
Once more deferring to something people often say to excuse their bad behavior. I am autistic.
With Vaush, it's always that he's answered this before. He's not given a fair shake.
Destiny, I really feel like you're not giving me a fair shake here. I feel like I'm explaining this.
Well, what you feel like is you kind of like wrap together a fairly convincing narrative that would hopefully make me forget about a lot of what I'm reading, and then you're trying to tie it together using evidence that we can't look at right now, which is ambiguous voice chats by people that aren't willing to come forward and corroborate any of them.
I never, not all voice chats. There are public chats in d.gg and in polychat, which would collaborate with what I've said. For 2 or 3, I forget what.
Well, the public chats don't make you any better, because the public chats are you making like very, very sexually explicit comments again about Poppy.
Poppy knows my deep dish prolapse dicking bloodline technique will leave her screaming like a chimpanzee. Let's be real, if there was a politics meetup, I would absolutely be able to seduce Poppy. Vaush would then go on stream and state why he's never going to apologize to Poppy.
Really nasty stuff. Nasty bottle. But that's the gist of it. Poppy is not worth apologizing to. She is barely worth the fucking intrinsic human rights to which all human beings are endowed, okay? She is a disgusting human being. And that doesn't mean what I did wasn't wrong. It does mean I will never apologize to her. But I would love to have her on stream sometime, because she is a nervous, anxious, neurotic liar, and it would be really, really easy to reduce her to a sobbing mess publicly. Would this make me look better in the public eye? No, it would make me look worse. But it would be very satisfying.
This is all because she didn't want his dick pic. Vaush eventually had no choice but to apologize, but it's in a very Vaush way. It would make it sound like it's all from 1.5 years ago, even though it just happened 30 days earlier.
It had been a while since I had looked over those logs. I mean, I don't regularly go over old conversations that I had with people who are no longer my friends. And the last memory that I had of those logs was the one which I had when Poppy had first accused me of sexually harassing her. When I was on Destiny's stream, I said that I had behaved cringily. I believe that I said, again, imperfect memory, that I had been at times a little creepy, that I had pushed boundaries, that I had been overly facilitated towards sexual conversation. And people called me a harasser, a sexual harasser. And I thought, no, I'm not a sexual harasser. I just did those things I just described. I just pushed boundaries. I just talked about sex maybe too much. I just was perhaps not as cognizant of the conversational partner's discomfort as I could have been. Do those things make me a sexual harasser? And I've thought about it over the past few days. The question seems a little leading. You can probably tell where I got. And the answer is that it doesn't really matter what I think.
Who apologizes like this? Why is this a 17-minute video? This guy has so many skeletons in his closet when it comes to just how manipulative and dishonest he is. Vaush now hates Destiny, so he decides to take Destiny out of context and call him a Grape apologist. This started with Destiny responding to a viral tweet of a woman saying, "A dude slipped off his condom during sex after I asked him to wear one earlier that week. It's been bothering me and I was too awkward to say anything." Destiny responded saying if you're not emotionally mature enough to say anything when he does this, then you shouldn't engage in sex. Otherwise, the alternative is men having to treat every woman like a retarded child. Vaush sees this and frames it as Destiny thinks all rape victims are stupid.
Just a person on Twitter who tweeted that she'd been raped like several times and essentially asked men to not do that. And then Mindwaves, who's like I guess adjacent to Destiny, I don't really know, tweeted some snarky shit at that. And then Destiny jumped in and said something about how, like, if she wasn't strong enough to speak up to the guys who were raping her, then it ended with him calling her like a retarded child for not having the strength of character to speak up to a rapist or whatever. Like, out of nothing.
The conversation is about communication during sex and how both sides play a role, not defending rape, but Vaush would push this narrative stream after stream.
When he was doing his like rape apologia arc and like laughing and saying that like a woman who was raped was a retarded child, like if he got banned from Twitch for that, I would have thought, yeah, no shit.
He's slandering Destiny, and of course he doesn't show any receipts or context to back it up, ingraining in his audience mind that Destiny is a rape apologist. They have nothing but his word to go by. What does that remind me of? He didn't show Ethan giving his argument once when responding to Ethan. He didn't show any evidence of Extreme Dad when framing him as a pedo. He didn't show any of Poppy's messages or complaints when responding to Poppy. He does this so he could revise history and instill that version into his audience. In all of these situations, Vaush claims they're out of context.
The goal is to make me look bad. That is what you would do. You certainly wouldn't showcase any context that makes me look good.
You should really watch this segment. They didn't just watch the out of context clips, they watched some of the explanations too. No.
Sure, he apologizes, but not for what he's accused of. It's for him being autistic or cringe.
I said that I had behaved cringily. I cringe looking at it. It's great evidence against me if the point that people are trying to make is that I was or indeed still am cringe.
Again, I'd like to remind everyone listening that the worst thing that can be thrown my way, given the evidence provided, which has been admittedly cut up and out of context, the worst thing that one could accuse me of is being kind of creepy and manipulative with one person or two people if you don't want to accept my explanation of the second person.
Or he's sarcastic.
You know what? I'm sorry for all the harm that I've caused you. I don't know. I don't know if I have.
This has happened year after year after year after year with this guy, but he never gets better. I don't think I've ever said this about someone who hasn't done something illegal, but Vaush is a bad guy. He's not someone who did something that's bad. He is bad. He's shit.
I'm a mother lover, you're a mother lover. We should fuck each other's mothers, fuck each other's moms.
Vaush is also just kind of a moron. He's lacking common sense. He thinks that if somebody is pointing a gun at you, you don't have the right to shoot back.
One of the guys chasing this guy literally has a pistol drawn. Come on, dude. You're really going to do this?
Yeah.
Really? You don't think that it's fair to assume
the person
that
with the pistol hadn't fired?
You?
The person with the pistol hadn't fired. They were like right up close. It seems like that was more of an attempt at apprehension than it was at murder.
Vaush thinks Kyle Rittenhouse should have better trigger discipline than the police do. Vaush thinks Kyle should live up to the same moral standards as Iron Man.
All I know is I've seen a lot of Marvel movies, and in the part where the good guy gets framed and he turns around and there are a bunch of angry cops and civilians staring at him, he drops the gun and puts his hand up in the air, and he doesn't unleash the Iron Man laser and cut down 300 people who are threatening him implicitly by surrounding him and not allowing him free access out.
Marvel movies is where Vaush gets his self-defense analysis from. He's so debate-brained, he thinks water and agua aren't the same thing.
But let's just use the example of water. Maybe we could agree that water is H2O.
This isn't
H2O.
true.
I'm sorry?
This isn't true.
That water has not always been H2O?
Yeah. All you have to do is cross the Mexican border. And over there, it's aqua. That's H2O, not water.
Aqua means water. Aqua is water.
It's a different term.
Actually, it's agua. It's not aqua, right?
And we're referring to terms and definitions here.
No, I'm referring to water, the stuff that fills lakes and rivers.
The stuff that fills
about the word water.
Many things fill lakes and rivers.
Okay. Do you honestly not know what I mean when I talk about water, or are you just being a little difficult? Do you not think water is H2O?
But I think we've come up with a term to describe what we refer to as water.
This guy's retarded. Vaush also thinks he would be great if he was elected into Congress.
I am autistic, and I would fucking crush it in the House of Representatives. Are you fucking kidding me? If I could somehow delete my edgy past and just run on office 20 years from now, are you fucking kidding me? Autism be I would fucking obliterate Washington. Holy shit. I could out-talk anyone in the fucking halls of Congress easily. Absolutely 100%. I'll do it. I'll be the snakiest little fucking worm tongue the world has ever seen.
You already are. Living the dream, Vaush. If I was to like anything about Vaush, it would be that he tried to raise Jesse Lee Peterson.
I'm a homosexual.
You what?
I'm a homosexual.
You're
I have
homosexual?
to be in favor of it. Yeah.
Are you really? Mm-hmm. And what does that mean to be a homosexual? What is that?
I'm just like you, Reverend. I love all people. Every single one of them.
But you love them in a sexual way, right?
Oh, not the kids. But yeah, absolutely.
He's so weird. He always brings up the children.
I think, by the way, you look wonderful today. So I
Are
think
you liking me right now?
Oh, no, not like that. I just think that you're fantastic. You're aged wonderfully. You have a flawless beard going on. You're well haircut. I think that you're a phenomenal example. If you were into men, you'd have your pick of the cut, let me tell you.
If I was to compliment Vaush at all, it would be that he's not as bad as Hassan when it comes to covering geopolitical issues. He also hasn't scammed and lied to his audience as much as one of his biggest offenders. There's a lot of new information there. That will be next video. Subscribe to the channel. Shout out to the homies over on Patreon. Phoebes, Crimson Glass, Riveter, Christina Vina, Mac Monkey, Drain Kobex, Necro Valley, Stefan Bildman, Abby Blackbird, Eddie Bizzle, Tiz McFitz, Christopher H, TV Anthology Reviews, Kanklemore, Senial Music, Lucas If, and the mega homies, Reynolds Hughes, Hellison, IGP, Cone, Zombie Fox, Your Taxi, Latchkey Gothboy, Cyber Katie, Lori Loaded, Papa Gut, Caden Lulin, Luis G, Exo Irish Exo, BA Subway, Hawk and Load, Zerophonic, Derek Dew, Strictly Patrick, Kitty Cat, and a Screaming Cloaker.